Hey, it's Stranger Oddities coming back with you right here, and we're looking at some upcoming releases and stuff like that, and some pickups that I had gotten over the weekend and whatnot. So, um, uh, you guys know, everybody here, all the listeners, you know that I'm a big fan of all those cheesy horror films that was coming out, and mainly it's because I grew up in that era where you went to the video store and you looked around and you saw these really almost cartoony kind of comic book looking artwork on those VHS covers. And a lot of that had to do with people knew those movies weren't all that great. They're really bad. They're poorly acted. But what was the most intriguing part of it all was actually the stuff that they ended up cutting out and censoring, and we never really got to see a lot of those in full tact the way they were supposed to be. But so I kind of noticing it was interesting to see because I recall Christopher George. It's so weird how he's synonymous with some of these really bad horror movies, and which is weird because you're like, wait a minute, this is the guy from El Dorado, this is the guy from the Train Robbers, like these really good westerns and stuff with the Duke, and yet he's doing a movie like the Mortuary, and it's like, what the heck? So, yeah. And speaking of Mortuary, I love the cover art on that. You got the tombstone, you got the hand bursting out of the ground, and it's like, before your funeral, before you're buried, before you're covered with the last shovel full of dirt, be sure you are really dead. You gotta love that. It's got Bill Paxton in it as well. But they're doing a re-release of that, and it's coming up in July, and I can't wait because I'm gonna buy that. I had that on videotape. I watched it. It's just another one of those really strange movies, and I love movies like that, like the Mortuary, Mausoleum, Phantasm. They just that whole graveyard mortuary, morgue kind of stuff, really creepy and just genuine. They always had these genres that they were jumping into back then when they were making a lot of these, and a lot of this stuff just brings me back to just growing up with a lot of these, and a lot of these video stores. A lot of this before Blockbuster really came to town. We had all these mom and pop video stores growing up. We had the Scott's Video, which was down in the south area of town, in where I grew up. You had a Video Show Place was another one, and one of the best I think was Doctor Video. Doctor Video was a real dungy, more like an underground video store that just was loaded with just goodies, just gems and all kinds of stuff. And that, and I think that guy was towards the end there. He knew he was gonna close up, because I remember my dad would go in there and straight up buy stuff right off the shelf that was on the rental shelf, and he'd just sell it. You just look it up and then just give you a price, and you just buy it and bought it. So, but the other weird thing was the local grocery store had an amazing collection of old horror videotapes, and that was just wow, that was so weird. And used to, though, like the videos, the grocery store one, the way it worked was it wasn't like the other video stores where you went there and you just kind of the tape, the cover was there, and behind it was the videotape, and you just grabbed the videotape and you walked up front. So if you were going there and the cover was there, but the tape wasn't, that means it was rented, or somebody misplaced it, or whatever. So, but no, the grocery store, the way it would work is you actually took the box and you went up to the front of the clerk, and they got it, and they went and they pulled out drawers and they matched a serial number, or a number that was on the box, to a tape that was in the drawer. And they replaced it. They took the tape out, put the box in there, gave you the tape, and you went home, watched it and all that, and then got either excited, grossed out, or just disappointed. I was a Friday night. It was like, okay, it's either we watch the Three Stooges or I was watching Alf, and one of these cheeseball horror flicks. stuff like that. And and that was the great thing, growing up for that. At least my parents were, I guess maybe it was just a different time. I didn't get that, like, oh, you can't watch that, kind of thing. We watched, we watched all these movies. It was no big deal, and it's like, and all these people that say, oh, you shouldn't let your kids watch that kind of stuff. It's yeah, I understand that to an extent, but a lot of these movies were just, yeah, I loved them, and I think my parents saw that, and they let me go with it. So, but yeah, Mortuary, I'm looking for that release that's coming out. And one of the things I really like about these studios that are doing these, looks like MVD is the studio that's doing Mortuary, and it looks, according to the picture I'm looking at right here, it looks like they are embracing the old school artwork, and which is very important to people like me that grew up with them. That old school artwork is so important. And like, I just picked up Mausoleum, which is another one of those that I recall seeing on videotape days, and it is so awesome to see this thing with all the cut scenes that were removed because they were deemed too offensive at the time. They restored it. And so Vinegar Syndrome is the people that the studio that released this, and one of the things that I like about what these people do is these studios like Vinegar Syndrome. Another one I want to really give a big shout out to is Scream Factory, or known as Shout Factory or whatnot. They are restoring, like they released the edition out there, and they have on a reverse slipcover either the original artwork or whatnot, or if they have the alternative artwork on it. And usually they will include the original one that a lot of us grew up with seeing on videotape days. So Mausoleum is definitely one of those where they have that reversible slipcover, which also I must say the alternative artwork, and I don't remember seeing the alternative artwork. I don't remember seeing that on a videotape, but the alternative artwork, actually, in this case, I actually almost like it better than the other artwork that was on the videotape of Mausoleum. So that is a first for me. I usually kind of stick to the original stuff that I remember, but the alternative artwork is actually pretty neat. I do like the fact that it's like a off-white tan kind of background, and then it's got the gateway that's leading up to the mausoleum with all the weird, and I love how on the bottom it's got all those weird little tombstones and crosses sticking up, and it's got that drawing of a creature, standing in the doorway of the mausoleum, and then above you got the big demon face with the green eyes that was so, iconic in the movie and everything. So I love how they sometimes they change things up, and sometimes they come up with good things. Another one that not a horror topic, but was The Mechanic, Scorpion releasing of The Mechanic with Charles Bronson. I love the fact that they included the VHS artwork in that cover slip, which is just a drawing of Charles Bronson, with his black gloves on, wielding like a little Colt Woodsman 22 pistol on there. That's what I had on the videotape cover days, and that's what that was awesome that they did that. So I like when they do that. That's just that's great. So and then when I picked up the Friday the 13th box set, and I actually have a video of me opening it and looking at it here on the channel here. But they I think that was a Scream Factory that did that, and they went through and they made sure that all the original artwork from those VHS cover arts of all the Friday the 13th films was intact on that one. That's great. Now the only one that I have to give them a little bit of crap for is Part 5. Part 5, The New Beginning of Friday the 13th, we all know was this weird hockey mask that was not the original, like, Jason hockey mask, and it was like this weird one with square little holes on it, and then there was a weird red light coming out through the background on it. Now, that's the one that we all know and we all remember, not this alternative artwork that they're showing. I don't know, maybe that other alternative artwork that they do have on there, Maybe that was like a theatrical poster or something, but they should have released that other hockey mask. That's where I think they dropped the ball on that one. I mean, and I know that I wasn't the only one that kind of griped about that a little bit, but one other thing I want to throw in on the Friday the 13th thing while we're on that is, okay, for those of us that we all know, and this is, it's interesting because I didn't realize this when I was watching Mausoleum, that John Carl Buechler is the effects artist in Mausoleum. Buechler is like, and he's passed away, and man, that's so sad that we're losing these guys. But he's like the guy that gave us Friday the 13th Part 7. Arguably the best one for people. Jason looked the best. He directed it. It once had, and I wish we could. I don't think we'll ever see the cut edited sequences that they removed from Buechler's original cut of Friday the 13th Part 7. But he's the one that put Kane Hodder in the hockey mask. Okay, no disrespect to everybody else that's played Jason, but Kane Hodder is Jason. That guy just. He was born for that role, and he made it, and he made Jason have attitude, character, just the walk, the breathing, everything about it, the menacing size. Kane Hodder is Jason. Now, and Kane Hodder played Jason like to Part 7, Part 8, Part 9, and 10. Yes, there is that many of them. Kane Hodder, he's Jason. I mean, come on. He's the guy that just, he built that character up. And whoever made the decision when they did Freddy versus Jason, now you guys know I'm a huge Freddy Krueger fan. I love Robert Englund. The Nightmare on Elm Street series is my favorite slasher series. Whoever made the decision to replace Kane Hodder as Jason when they made Freddy versus Jason, whoever made that decision to replace Kane Hodder, you need to be fired, gone, X'd out, kicked out of the movie business. You should never, ever be able to touch another movie for the rest of your life. I hate you. I am going to say that right now, and I mean that. I mean it with sincerity. Whoever made that decision, be it the director or whoever did that, I hate you. And Kane Hodder hates you too. And so, Kane, if you ever run across this taping here, that is the way I feel as a fan. It was a slap in the face to replace you. Absolutely. So, and I will jump on that. That is something that, as a fan of the series, for all of us that grew up with those and waiting for that day to come where Freddy versus Jason, yeah, that's just, and they realized that with Nightmare on Elm Street 2. When the studios went, they said, somebody said, well, we don't need Robert Englund. We just get a guy and put him in a rubber suit. When they did that, they realized it was a big mistake, and somebody actually spoke up and they said, look, if you do not rehire Robert Englund for this, you're a fool. And they finally realized that. And so can you imagine Nightmare on Elm Street done without Robert Englund? Well, we can. We saw the remakes. It's horrible. I watched like literally minutes of it and turned it off. It's just not the same. You can't do it. It just doesn't work. So Robert Englund owns that character. It's the same with Doug Bradley and Pinhead. The minute they replaced Doug Bradley, it was just not the same anymore. Not saying that all the spin-offs that they just kept pumping out, like, left and right, were any good, but they were, they still had that Doug Bradley, that whole mythical thing to them, and that strange thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Hellraiser, but there's certain guys that own the character. It's like Sean Connery and James Bond. That's just, I think, to most people, that's going to hold that's the top shelf right there. Even though I grew up more watching Roger Moore as James Bond, and I do like Roger Moore as James Bond. I think that, but I think far as the modern Bond goes, and I think I'm a Pierce Brosnan guy. I really think he did an excellent job. I like him, but and then again, I do like Daniel Craig, but yeah, it's just different stuff. But it just, when you get some of these iconic guys playing some of this stuff, it really is hard to accept replacement. So it's like when True Grit was remade, I had a really hard time accepting that film. I still do. In my opinion, you can't replace the Duke. Nobody can even hold a candle to John Wayne. You just can't. It just doesn't happen. So, but anyway, yeah, I just figured we chatter a little bit about some horror movies and stuff like that and upcoming. So I definitely will be picking up Mortuary when it's released in July. Hopefully, everything is too satisfactory on it. Some of these you're gonna pay the price for. I'm gonna admit. I'm gonna say it right now. Some of these we're talking over the $20 marker. $20 for me is like, that's kind of the level where I'm gonna be at if it's something that's new that's coming out that I want to get, like such as Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage. $20 is kind of where I'm at with that. Now, if I'm spending over 20 for it, it has got to be a movie that I absolutely want, that I am absolutely willing to pay that. For instance, like The Mechanic with Charles Bronson, the re-releasing, had that alternative slipcover. Yes, that was a $30 movie if I remember, something like that. I paid that price because I wanted that movie. I know that movie's good. I know I'll watch that movie over and over and over. But sometimes you gotta do that. So with these horror movies that are coming out, yes, I know I want them. They're part of the collection. I am a diehard horror movie collection, especially all the stuff from the 80s. I gobble them up. So this is going to be one of those that I'm going to have to, looks like right now currently it's $30. And that's going to kind of the price that reflects on a lot of these. And usually I'll try to support the local record store. And if they have it, I'll usually try to jump down there and pick it up from them. Even if it's a few bucks more, you also got to remember if you order from Amazon, they're going to tack on that few bucks anyway because of the taxes and stuff like that. So I'd rather support a local record store and pay the extra, $5 or whatever, and just do it that way. So anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.